Imagine this scenario. You're with your fiance at her parents' house on Christmas Eve for a party when a freak accident causes you to lose a tooth. What do? Well, if you're Cliff, the character in a new movie called The Baltimorons, now playing in theaters, you decide that it's a dental emergency and you have to get it fixed right now. So you head out, you meet a dentist, you get it fixed. But instead of going back to the party, you decide to spend the entire day with the dentist that you just met. That is the premise of the new movie, The Baltimorons. A premise that, upon originally hearing it, I thought was kind of too absurd to work. But then I watched it, and I thought, wow, how did I think this wasn't going to work? And to be honest, Jay Duplass, writer and director of the movie, does good work here, but it's the script that really lets the movie down the most. But what does help is the fact that the two actors who play the lead characters have some of the best chemistry on screen I've seen this year. They're absolutely wonderful together, and they take some of these awkward moments in the script and make them work beyond what I could have imagined. Michael Strassner, who plays Cliff, the man who loses a tooth, and Liz Larson, who plays Dee Dee the dentist, are absolutely magical in this movie. I haven't seen either of them in anything else, but I will be checking out some of their work going forward because of how much I like them in this. They start out as a couple that really don't kind of fit at all. But as the day progresses, you can see them becoming a lot more comfortable with each other. And that's really hard for actors to do over a set amount of time, especially because you're filming a lot of this out of order. So you have to know exactly where you are in a relationship while doing that scene, and it plays perfectly throughout. They get into a bunch of hijinks, like a car being towed, they steal a boat, they go to a party. No, not the Christmas Eve party, a reception, a wedding reception for Dee Dee's ex at one point, and it's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. The way Cliff handles everything that happens is just superb. This movie has no right to be as good as it is, and I think the reason why, beyond the chemistry between the two main actors, is that the movie feels very grounded. Cliff experienced some trauma in his life about 6 months before the events of the film that really tell you who he is as a person. Dee Dee experiences something similar, but a little further back. So you have two very flawed people who are trying to find out how to make life work. And to be honest, I see myself in these characters. There's bits and pieces of them which I can connect to on a personal level. And some of the other bits and pieces of these characters are my friends, my family, my neighbors, people that I know. And so because of that, there's just this inherent connection an audience is going to have with this movie, even if you don't live in Baltimore, even if you don't do stand-up comedy or improv comedy or sketch comedy, even if you're not a dentist. None of that really matters, because at the heart of this movie, it's about two very flawed people trying to figure out how to make their flaws work for themselves. It's all about healing and acceptance. And that's just a great theme I think a lot of people struggle with a little bit, to be honest. I know I do. So seeing it on screen in this capacity in such a grounded way really, really works. The cinematography is beautiful. They show you the darker, messier side of Baltimore, and yet somehow they make it absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, the writing is probably the worst part of this movie. There's some really stilted dialogue, there's some really weird lines, there's some really weird story beats, because overall, a lot of what happens in this movie, there's just no rhyme or reason why. It just kind of happens to happen, especially with the two characters' relationship growing throughout the day. You kind of just don't really understand how we get from point A to point B, but it doesn't really matter. Because the point is, we got to point B, point C, point D, and so on. How? Why? I'm just happy we got there. That's the feeling you're going to get when you watch The Baltimorons, now playing in theaters. Thank you so much to Pixel Scene Media for sending me over an advanced copy. I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though when I first saw what kind of movie this was, I didn't think I was going to. So if you're in the mood for some comedy, some drama, and some romance, I highly recommend checking out The Baltimorons. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself, kind to others, and keep watching movies.